Good morning. We are live. Welcome to Hot Topics, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, New York City. I'm so glad that you're here. So thank you so much for joining the Don Lemon Show this morning. We have so much to discuss. And you know how, greetings, everyone. Everyone is saying greetings. You know, I'd love to know where you guys are from, where you're streaming from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or you're watching our stream from. So as usual, let us know. Here's the thing, though. You know how sometimes you're like, something will happen and you're like, okay, all right, that made me feel a certain kind of way. And then though, when you actually step back and you take a good long look at what happened, you have some time to assess, you're like, wait, what the fuck just happened? What was that? To a person, it's not a big deal, and it was the other person's fault or whatever. What happened in the Oval Office last week was shameful. That is the most egregious thing. There have been many egregious things. I believe, though, it was the most egregious thing that I have seen. It's embarrassing. It's an American embarrassment. Or if you look at the two main people who are involved, it's American embarrassments, plural, two of them. As you guys know, I had a birthday weekend. I had some great time, but every single place I went, from the supermarket to, by the way, I saw leaving, I didn't run into her, I almost did, the governor of New York at my local supermarket. Apparently she lives in the neighborhood, didn't even know it. The supermarket folks said, oh, she's always in here with her husband. Okay, so anyways, I digress. Supermarket, the folks in the supermarket, the checkout people, our local, I went to the diner, as you know, this weekend, same thing. Friends at a dinner party, everywhere. The subway, oh my gosh. I heard people listening to it, either on social media or on clips on social media or live. It was embarrassing. It's like we have become an odd place that now somehow sides with Russia, the former Soviet Union. We are now Russian assets. I don't know if that's too harsh. I don't know. It's just bizarre. How do you feel about it? And by the way, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the likes. The membership link is in the top of the chat. The subscribe button is right at the bottom right end of your screen. It is free. You can. And our memberships, again, at the top. If you hit the thumbs up button, it affects the algorithm and more people become aware of our conversation. So I am between outrage and just So I don't know if I need to be a preacher this morning. Thank you very much, Darlena Williams, in the chat. That was an ambush. It was an ambush. And we are the only, I'm going to get into it. And I'm going to show you in this that this is not what you think it is on the surface. There is a history behind this, because it's not just about people saying, oh, this is about the American people and spending money and, he needs to be thankful. There is a reason, a very big, strong, and as he would say, powerful reason that he is treating one of our allies like this, someone whose country is under attack. There's a reason behind it. Have you guys figured it out? It could be payback. It could be revenge. Maybe he's never gotten over this. Remember, he wanted the, what was it, 11,380 votes or 780 votes or whatever it is that he wanted from Georgia. Well, he wanted something else and didn't get it. And that's why he is upset. And that's why he's acting like a child. And J.D. Vance, really, J.D. Vance, have a seat, have several seats, but not in the Oval Office because you haven't been in there. And all of a sudden, where did you come from? How did you show up? Wait, what? So now that we have had a chance to sit back and assess the situation, right? We have some distance, some perspective, distance behind us so we can have some perspective on what happened. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. Welcome to Hot Topics. And let me just say, hindsight, as I said, is 2020. And with hindsight, I can now confidently say that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's behavior on Friday was a single most disgraceful performance to ever take place in the Oval Office. That's what I believe. They made it very clear that America no longer leads the free world. Now we stand with Russia. We stand with Putin and all the other autocrats and dictators and strongmen around the world. It was sickening. With all of those horrible, non-democratic, non-patriotic, at least to America, non-American people, dictators, autocrats, etc., around the world. Sickening. To seasoned diplomatic observers, Trump's furious dressing down of Zelensky was a planned political mugging. And I'm not just calling it that, that's what they are saying. It was a hit job. It was an attack, a trap. It was a trap. So sometimes when you're in the middle of a trap, you don't even realize that you're in the middle of a trap. Or when you're in a situation that is dire, or if you're anywhere, you may be under duress and you need help and you're not maybe thinking as clearly as you would have. And maybe you're a little bit, on your back foot a little bit, or a little bit like, not your normal self. Then you don't realize a hit job is coming, a trap is coming. It was a trap set by the Donald Trump administration to discredit the Ukrainian leader, remove him as an obstacle to whatever comes next, and perhaps some political revenge, some paying back, shameful, evil, embarrassment. We're going to break all of this down for you. We're going to get to some of the other hot topics this morning. We're going to talk about the resistance that's happening, whether you realize it or not, around the world, around the globe, around the country, I should say, perhaps around the world. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this whole Zelensky America thing, because Europe is on the other side that we are. Can you imagine if we have Europe becomes a country, the only, at least the biggest country, who are allies and who are helping the Ukrainians and Zelensky, and then America backs away, and then we move further into isolationism, further and further into isolationism. Now, this may not be as sexy a topic as you want, but I'm telling you, it's damn serious and it's damn embarrassing. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh. We're also going to talk about the Oscars. There were some political speeches. Producer, if you see a political speech, some of the folks who made political speeches, can you bring it, please? Thank you. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm getting over it. I can't mute every time, you guys know. Still, I have the crud that's lingering. A lot of people have it, so you know what's going on. So let's talk about this. We're going to break down this shit show that happened in the Oval Office last week, and we're going to talk about it. And I want to know how you guys feel about it. Now, it's a little bit long, so get your coffee and pay attention, because I want you to get the sentiment. I want you to get the feeling. I hate to anger you. Let me just tell you this. You guys know how I feel about you. I love you, the community. Again, my community. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Again, it affects the algorithm. I'm so happy that you're here. Okay. I don't like to anger you, especially on a Monday morning. It is, 7 o'clock in the morning out west. Still, some folks work from home. You may have your tea. You may have your coffee. You could be planning for a noon meeting, whatever it is. I hate to anger you, but you got to know, and perhaps you should be angered and outraged. So I want you to call everyone, send the link to everybody, let everyone know. We're going to go over this, and I'm going to give you I'm going to share with you the thing that nobody has really brought up or has talked about or thought about in this manner. And this was made, my trusty producer, Peter, made me aware of this. And I said, oh my gosh, you know what? You're absolutely right. I have not heard anyone say that. Everyone's thinking, oh, this is about the American people. It's about money. How dare they? There's a reason behind it. Unless you do what? Bow down to Donald Trump. What does he do? He wants people to bow down to him. He wants people to bend the knee. He wants to acquiesce. He wants to have all the power. He wants people to kiss his ass. And unless you do that, there is some political payback, personal payback, revenge that comes with that. Okay? So sit back, relax, if you can, and let's look at what happened in the Oval Office last week. Here it is.
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world.
Okay,
I
pause.
want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with.
He's aligned with the world. He wants what's best. Is it best for the world that someone who invaded a country who's trying to annex more of Ukraine, trying to take over through sheer power, not diplomacy, to take over someone else's country? Is that what's right for the world? First of all, that does not make sense. The rest of the world does not feel the same way that we do. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember it. I would always say this when I was on CNN, that Donald Trump tries to bend reality into the way that he tries to shape reality into how he feels, what he thinks. So he's convinced all these people around him, because remember, he's the dear leader. They can't go against him. So he's trying to convince everyone around him that there is an issue and to think like him into his reality. And I'll tell you why. This is not what the world thinks. I'm on the world side. The world is not on our side, on the side I say the world is on our side, but not Donald Trump and his administration side. Here it is.
With Europe, I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences.
Where did he come from? If I can jump in. It's not like Donald Trump did not say, JD, do you have anything to say? He's like, okay, I got it. Let me say something. I got to say something, because I never get the opportunity to be in the Oval Office. And, there's another person who's stealing my thunder. So let me jump in and say something. Oh, by the way, guys, can you find me how lovely he was greeted in Vermont this weekend? We need to find that, producers. I forgot, because Vermont had had a very, I should say, special greeting for him as he tried to vacation there this weekend. But where did he come from? Why is he jumping in here? Especially when he has zero foreign policy experience, a junior senator, no foreign policy experience. Now, remember, Barack Obama had no foreign policy, or very little foreign policy experience. And the whole reason, or one of the main reasons why he chose Joe Biden to be his vice president, is because of Joe Biden's foreign policy experience. He knew his weaknesses, so he picked someone who was strong on foreign policy, because he was big enough to admit that I don't know everything. Not like this administration. So here comes someone jumping in who has no foreign policy experience, and according to him, admittedly, had never been to Ukraine, doesn't know shit about Ukraine. Remember, well, Kamala Harris has never been to, doesn't go to the border. Have you been to the border? You know, the selective outrage. Have you been to the border? How do you know? When was the last time you were at the border, Joe Biden? How do you know? Do you understand what I'm saying? Selective outrage. You've never been. Have you taken your behind, J.D. Vance, to Ukraine? At least since the war has started, do you know? Have you gone to talk to the people there? Have you? Okay, let's keep going. And I'll show you. I'm going to give you some evidence. I like to give evidence. You know that. Keep going.
Conferences and talk tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Pause. Okay, that's what President Trump is doing. He is, oh my gosh, he's such a butt kisser. His head is so far up Donald Trump's rear end because he knows he needs Donald Trump. And he's like, I just jumped in here, so I know how he operates. Let me kiss his butt and say nice things about it. And then he'll be like, yes, all right, keep going, JD. Okay, keep going. That's what's happening here. When did you ever, honestly, think about it. Okay, guys, tell me. When did you ever see Joe Biden thumping his chest? Was Joe Biden a thumping the chest kind of president? Was Joe Biden a thumping the chest kind of president? Come on. When did you ever see Joe Biden thumping the chest? Joe Biden says we need to support Ukraine. We need to help them defend themselves. He didn't stand up and goes, because I am the president of the United States. That's not even Joe Biden. So that part is a lie. He doesn't know what he's talking about there either. He doesn't know. He just wants to jump in. And then watch when Volodymyr Zelensky comes in to check him, not because Volodymyr Zelensky is trying to talk them. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not that he's trying to be disrespectful and scold them. That's the word I'm looking for. But he's trying to educate them in the moment, like, hey, dumbasses. And then they take it as a personal assault. Later on, when he says, look, I think what maybe you're not understanding is that you will feel the repercussions if you totally allow this horrible person, Vladimir Putin, to just keep doing whatever the hell he wants to go unchecked. And then he slides and moves further into Europe. He gets closer to Europe and our European allies. You don't have to worry about that because of proximity. You're far away. Admittedly, you say, we have an ocean between us. You're proving his point, dumbass, Trump. We don't have to because we have a great big ocean between us. Yes, Europe doesn't have a great big ocean between us. I don't even know if Trump understands it. I don't know that. I don't think he does. J.D. Vance was there to pick a fight. You're right about that, casual observer, to pick a damn fight and to assert his manhood or to assert his whatever. He was there. Okay, so here we go. Keep going.
Okay, so he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he
I
killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president, in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are not
President,
strong-
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to
gosh.
litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
Okay,
You
pause
should
it
be
right there,
thanking
please.
the pres-
Pause it. Oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous. I don't think that you should be trying to litigate this in front of the American people. Who called the cameras into the office, into the Oval Office? Why are you there? It is up to you, dumbass, to not closed door meeting where you talk to the man about that. Instead, you set him up. Then you say, we should be having this conversation behind closed doors, Mr. President. You don't chew the man out in front of the entire world unless there is an agenda behind it. Come on. This is a joke. And for JD Vance to jump in and say, well, look, with all due respect, and then the man responds and says, wait. And he goes, I don't think you should be trying to. Like, what are you talking about? Back it up a little bit because I want to, Andy, I want to get his exact words. Okay, keep going. He's trying to explain to him. Zelensky is trying to explain to him, perhaps you don't understand, sir. And then JD Vance is like, oh, I got to say something. I got to come back. I got to be strong. Remember, this is a fight. Keep going.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are not
President,
strong-
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for
Have you
trying to
ever
bring
been-
an end to this
have you
conflict.
ever
Okay,
been
pause
to the
again.
president? You
Pause
say-
again. How do you like that? Again, I did it again. You're going to invite me to the Oval Office again? Huh? Can I get back to the Oval Office? You should be thanking the American president. How many times has perhaps JD did not do his homework here? This man has thanked the American people at the United Nations in front of cameras many, many times. And you have the nerve, JD Vance, to say that. I don't know how to answer your question, so how dare you? You're right. Thank you in the chat. With respect, what respect, says Don Bowen? You're right. To try to litigate this in front of the American media, he said. Who invited the media here? You think Volodymyr Zelensky said, I want to have this, I'm going to meet in the Oval Office and bring all the media in? That's not his role. So someone in the Trump administration said, we're going to have this meeting in the Oval Office. Let's invite the press in. And then we're going to have this conversation. It was not Volodymyr Zelensky's decision to do this. It was the Trump administration's decision to do this. And then he says, this is what the kind of diplomacy that's going. What does he know? He does not know at all. So, and then he, again, at the end of everything, remember, it's like when people call it a poop sandwich or whatever, where you put something good on the outside, then you say something good, and then you say something bad, and then you say something good, right? It's a sandwich. So then I'm going to defend Donald Trump, or I'm going to say something that causes a fight. Then I'm going to kiss Donald Trump's butt again at the end. That is what he's doing right here. Okay? Okay, sir? Okay? See, I got your back. Now let's listen. Here's Zelensky.
What problems we have.
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
Okay, here's a bull. Stop, please. Here's the bullshit argument right here. Here's the thing. He was caught right there. He realized it instantly, and then he changes the subject. He says, "Oh, I have seen the reports. I have seen the reports. I have not been there." He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then he goes, you do this, and then I see, watch, change the subject. Back it up a little bit. Watch, he changes the subject because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he has no experience here. He should not be sitting there. Keep going.
To bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
Here we go.
Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will
Okay,
not
pause. Yes, he does know that. Don't tell us what to do. He's not telling you what to do. He's trying to explain. And by the way, remember, there is a language barrier here that they're not understanding and that they should be more amenable or open to. There's a language barrier. Remember, this is not his first language. Yes, it is painful, Candace Camden, but I want you to watch it just to see how ridiculous it is. There's a language barrier here. The man is trying to explain, and perhaps he is not articulating himself as if his English is perfect. Now, Donald Trump, of anyone, should know that because what? And I don't mean this as shade, but his wife, not her first language, and oftentimes we say, well, what is Melania saying? Now, he seems to perfectly understand what Melania is saying, and people give her some grace and that it's not her first language. And perhaps he should be more open to doing that. And perhaps someone should explain that to Donald Trump et al. And crew. The man is just trying to articulate and to tell you, okay, maybe you will feel it if he keeps this advance and push into the rest of Europe. And it's not just you, Mr. President, it is your allies, et cetera, et cetera. And Vladimir Putin is a dangerous man. I don't know what's going on with you, but okay. And he's trying to be diplomatic about it. Keep going.
Going to feel.
Donald Trump gets
trying
pissed.
To solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Okay, pause. Okay, I'm not telling you. I'm answering his question. That's exactly that is. I'm trying to answer his question. That's exactly what you're doing. JD Vance jumps in. Oh my gosh, JD, please stop it. He's trying to explain to them perhaps, and he's being very calm about it. And Donald Trump is getting to say, don't tell us what we're going to feel. That's not what he's saying. He's saying perhaps you don't understand that how bad this is for the rest of the world if this continues to happen. And then no one who will respect anyone's territories or boundaries if you allow this to happen. We can't be hypocritical about who we decide, especially if they're a member of NATO. And remember, we have when one of us, there's a whole thing about Ukraine being a member of NATO or whatever. But there's one of us here who's being attacked. And we cannot be hypocritical and say, well, we didn't do it for this one, but we're going to do it for that. We're picking and choosing here. He's trying to explain. JD Vance something. That's exactly what you're doing. Because that was the whole thing. This was a setup. Keep going.
To dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Okay, here's the thing. When you are in, and again, I believe this should have been held behind closed doors. I'm not saying that they shouldn't hash it out. I think that they should hash it out. Don't get me wrong. And I think you guys agree too. Am I wrong? Do you guys, tell me if you disagree. Of course they should hash it out. But they shouldn't be hashing it out here. And anybody any administration that had half a brain and that half of experience and knew, and they weren't so up their leaders' butt, they would say, Mr. President, we should probably have a meeting. We should talk to him about it, but maybe we should not do this in front of the media. Maybe it should just be a photo op, a couple of questions, and then we move on. Okay? So he would sit there, and Zelensky is like, okay, look, guys, I don't want to. I'm just trying to explain to you what's going on here. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just like, you know. And then Trump is not listening because he doesn't want to listen. Especially if he's in your house. Obviously, he's at your mercy, right? Show him some respect and just listen to him and say, okay, you know, we can discuss this. And look, I don't necessarily agree with what you say, Mr. President, 100%, but this is something that should be discussed behind closed doors because we're going to have some agreements and so we're going to have some disagreements. But I think what we all want is a resolution and an end to this. And however we can be helpful, we are going to do it. But, and if you feel this way, we can't continue just to do blah, 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 blah. But he's not listening at all because he doesn't want to listen and he doesn't care. And now JD Vance, he's got his backup guys, a little, right, monster on his shoulder, his little hype man sitting next to him. And so he's like, okay, they're going to talk over everybody. He's not listening. He's just talking over him because he wants to appear to be strong as well. Here it is.
With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You're
gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania.
Oh
and
my
campaigned
God,
for the
stop,
opposite.
please. Again, look how JD Vance jumps in. Now, I will just say, if you were the president of the United States and it was this guy kept jumping, wouldn't you be like, excuse me, I'm good. I'm the president. When I want your opinion, I will ask you. I'm just saying. Remember, this is JD Vance. This is zero. Thank you. They have zero tact, zero diplomacy, Ebony Noel says. So why does he keep jumping in? He's a little hype man, and he's all excited because he's in the Oval Office and he wants to prove himself. Have you ever said, see, he keeps jumping in with shit that he doesn't know about. Have you thanked for, why haven't you thanked? Have you thanked the people? Yes, he has, JD Vance. Do your homework before you go to this meeting. Keep going.
In October, offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will
pause.
speak
Thank
very
you.
loud,
I love it because, again, this man is so calm. Please. He's like, please, hold on a second here. Number one, we shouldn't be having this conversation here. Number two, this is not real diplomacy. Number three, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, JD Vance. You don't know. But he's like, please, okay. He's very, very calm. Look at Donald Trump sitting there. Look at the expression on his face. Now, basically, JD Vance has just shut the president up as he was making a point. And then he jumps in. Keep going.
about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over In 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media.
Okay, pause. Okay, pause. Y'all, I am sorry. This is so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. He's not raising his voice. He is raising his voice, by the way, because he's jumping in on the president of the United States. Number two, they don't understand what they're talking about. The man is sitting there calmly trying to explain to them what is going on. And then he says, I have thanked the American people many times. And then J.D. Vance, because again, the guy's making a good point, jumps in and says, we should not, what they should have done and thought about from the beginning, we should not be litigating this in front of the American people or American media. That wasn't Zelensky's decision. That was your decision. You should have thought about this before you had a meeting and before you started shit with him in front of the American people, in front of the American media. So you are chastising him for something that's not his fault. It's your fault. It's your miscalculation. And it is perhaps, as we say, your setup, your ambush. And so now you are chastising the man for something that he has no control over. Volodymyr Zelensky does not control the American media. He does not control who comes into the Oval Office. He does not control whether there are cameras, whether there are microphones, whether they will have a discussion about what. That is who? Donald Trump and this administration. And they should have thought about that from the very beginning. Someone in the chat says utter fools. And I agree 150%. Let's keep listening.
When you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very
There you go.
important. That's why I kept this going so long.
Whoa.
You have to be.
I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on. He just said the quiet part out loud, or he just told on himself. He just told on himself. He told on himself. This is all a media show. That's what he wants. And then watch what he says at the end of this. And then you'll know what it was.
Thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
with
a
you.
guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your
Okay,
president.
pause,
Excuse me.
please.
That was with Obama.
This should be beneath any president of the United States. That was a guy named Biden who wasn't very smart. Now, dude, would you ever hear that shit coming out of Barack Obama's mouth? Would you ever even hear that coming out of Bush's mouth? What president would you hear that coming? He is a small man with an outsized ego. And yes, Maria Sakar, he is so stupid. It is unbelievable. So JD Vance says, you shouldn't come in front of the American people and play this out in front of the American people, blah, blah, blah. And then Trump finally giving it away says, JD, what did you do? Could you shut up, man, and let me talk? Yeah, I think the American people should see this. And watch what he says at the end. The man is sitting there again, calmly trying to explain to him. And he's like, that was something you did with Biden. And he goes, no, this was like before, because it happened before. Okay, that was Barack Obama. Okay, and it's never his fault. Because remember, between Biden and Obama was this guy named Donald Trump, which is what I wish Volodymyr Zelensky would have said. Maybe he says it. But you have to remember, Mr. President, you're talking about Barack Obama. But after Barack Obama came you. And you didn't help us. These things happened under you as well. And then there was Joe Biden. Does that make you dumb? Because you're part of this. And I'm going to show you guys, I mean, stay tuned. This is a big tease, and it is true. I'm going to show you what this is all about. Okay? This isn't what you think it is. Remember I told you, they play in your face, they distract, and this is what they're doing behind the scenes. There's an ulterior motive here. Okay? Stand back, and stand by for the ulterior motive, and then you will understand more. It will help you to understand in a more fulsome sense of what is going on here. Keep going.
Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful.
Okay, pause.
Let me tell you, you don't have the.
So he is contradicting himself because he's saying we need to get out of this and perhaps you should not be in a war. And then Barack Obama's like, hey, well, look, maybe. Okay, I'm just saying this is not, but this is why I'm saying he's contradicting himself, because perhaps maybe Barack Obama, like, I'm not saying this is happening, but I'm trying to show you how this makes no sense. So Barack Obama did not give weapons. Perhaps Barack Obama was like, hey, maybe we don't need a war there. I don't think that was his thinking. But then Trump says, well, I gave you javelins to. And I would have said, okay, so yeah, you did. So that means that you helped us get into this position and now you don't want to help us anymore after you aided and abetted. I'm not saying that's what happened, but do you get the argument that I'm trying to make here? And look at that face. Look, and oh my gosh, this picture that's up right now, I think is indicative. Take a screen grab of this shot, please. This right here, this photograph explains. Zelensky's like, oh my God, what the fuck have I got myself into? Damn. And then Trump is like, well, let me explain to you. I know every fucking thing. I know better than the generals, and I don't know shit. Zelensky's like, oh God. What an idiot. Okay, go ahead, Trump. What else? All right. All right. All right. Bye-bye. Keep going, please.
The cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it?
Okay, pause. Now he gets hypotheticals. Usually they don't, because this is a hypothetical. He goes, what if anything? What if this is my argument when people talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that they say they don't want the standards to be lowered, but there's no example, there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, but they say, it would be bad if the standards were lowered. That's all I'm saying, is that the possibility of the standards being lowered. And then, I say to them, or someone says, but why are you bringing this hypothetical? Because there's no evidence that it's actually happening. Like, a weather balloon could fall from the sky. I mean, just something, whatever. So now all of a sudden he understands hypotheticals here. And now he's saying, but that's a hypothetical. What the hell are you talking about? Y'all, come on. You know what I'm saying. Keep going.
With Biden, because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
Look at Zelensky.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear that deal? That was a phony.
Pause. Okay. Now we're getting to the real motivation. That's one part of it. Did you hear what he said? Did you guys hear that? Back it up a little bit, please, Andy. I don't know if you got this in the first, when this happened. That's why I said we have some perspective or whatever. Putin and I went through a lot together. He went through a lot with me. Did you guys get that? Hello? Semblance. People in the back. Close the door back there to people. You're making a noise. Let the people outside in the overflow room. They're making too much noise. We can't hear in here. Some of the people can't hear in here. Putin and I went through a lot together. Donald Trump gives the plot away every time. You heard it, jazz and laughter. You heard it, right? You heard it. That's part of the motivation. He is defending Putin, the person who's a dictator. We went through a lot together. Keep going.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary
And there you
Clinton,
go.
Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam.
Lord,
And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war.
Pause.
He went through it. He was
Pause.
accused.
I want you guys to hear that again. Watch, please, 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 please. Watch Zelensky's face. This guy is litigating his whole dumb shit thing. And by the way, if it was not for Bill Barr getting out in front of what actually was found after the Russia investigation and tainting Americans' opinions about it, that happens a lot, right? Changing the narrative. Then because if you actually look at the Russia report, there's some damning shit in there. I'm just saying, go read it for yourself if you don't believe me. But they are narrative shape shifters. And someone says, why was the Russian media there? Interesting question. I do believe. But think about it. Why? Says Shikayo. That's good. We're going to talk about that. But think of, he's litigating this whole thing. He's Hillary Clinton. It's Joe Biden. It's all this. He has like what? These grudges against people and against Zelensky. I'm going to tell you where we're going. You guys haven't figured it out. And then he has an allegiance to Putin. For what? I don't know. But he's litigating the whole, it just sounds like a conspiracy theory of QAnon and MAGA brain idiots. This is what leads to MAGA brain idiots, because then they believe all of this when you have MAGA brain. They believe all of the shit that he spews, all the stuff that he says, even when there's no evidence. Okay? So look, I love that so many people are engaged today. Make sure you hit the like. You got to hit the thumbs up so more people become aware of our conversation. The membership link is at the top of the chat. And also our subscription link is right at the bottom below the Don Lemon Show logo. Okay. And you can subscribe. It is free. So make sure you do that. You need to support independent media, because I don't believe that going over and taking our time to do this, I don't believe that they're doing this anywhere else, especially in corporate media, not doing it. They don't have the time. They got to rush to the commercial break. We don't have to do that. And that is really the catch-22, because we don't get to the commercial break. They have huge sponsors that pay for them to be on the air. We don't. So please support us, okay? Become a member or subscribe. But now he is saying he's giving the plot away. This is all about personal, grievances. It's not about you. It's never about you. I've been telling you that forever. It is never about you. It is about him. He is trying to he is a narrative shape shifter. They all are. The Republicans are geniuses at that. And they're brilliant at that. And he is the genius of doing it, because whether he realizes it or not, I think he does. He's very aware of it. So watch again. I just want you to back up and listen to the litany of this is Biden, Hillary Clinton. Keep going.
And Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden.
Never got over this. He's
Joe
not over
Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom.
Okay, stop.
It came out of Hunter Biden's.
He was accused of all that stuff. Is he talking about Putin? Is he defending Putin right here? Is he defending Putin right here? This is why this is so rich. Again, perspective. He is defending Putin right here, I believe. And also, let me just tell you this. You know, the whole idea is like when lawyers are in courtroom and they say, when you don't have a case, you don't have evidence, what do? You pound the desk, you get loud and you yell. Because he doesn't know foreign policy, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He has to rely on his strong hand, Are you guys hearing me? And his strong hand is what? Political grievances, to blame it on the Democrats. This isn't our fault. It's not my fault. It's the Democrats, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. There's no diplomacy here. There's no intelligence here. There's no political or foreign policy intelligence or understanding. He doesn't read the briefings. That's the reporting. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then he has to go back to his strong hand, which is not that intelligent, but appeals to people. When he says, I like the poorly educated, it appeals to people who are not highly informed or highly read. It's easy, and they will eat it up over on the Fox News and over on the right-wing channels because it's easy. See, he got those libs. It's right. It's Hillary. This their fault. In there, because anger is their thing. Getting people all riled up. And so for him, mission accomplished. We don't have to talk about real shit that matters or have an understanding of what's going on in the world. We just blame it on the Democrats, and the people will eat it up, the base. In the meantime, people who know better are like, what the fuck? Is this really happening? Now, at the very end, I want you to hope it's in this clip. Now, tell me in the chat if you're agreeing with me. Hit the thumbs up, please. Tell me if you're agreeing with me. Tell me if you are agreeing with me, because maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Yes, I'm with you, Don. Thank you, Arrest. He doesn't get it, so he's going back to his whole line that he did in the campaign trail, that he does at the rallies, that he does every time he gets in front of it. It's the Democrats' fault. It's not my fault. It's here, keep going.
Bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with...
He's defending Vladimir Putin. And he's talking about, can you imagine talking about Hunter Biden's laptop? This is some shit that you would see on some right-wing conspiracy channel or crazy loon right-wing network or some crazy, you know what I'm talking about. The deep state. This is ridiculous. I am embarrassed. Just back up a little bit. Listen, he's defending Putin here. And the reason he's defending Putin, because through Putin, that's his proxy, he's defending himself. Oh, y'all don't feel me. If you heard that on the microphone, that was me whipping my glasses off so fast that I almost broke them. Do you see what I'm saying? He's defending himself through Putin. Putin is his ally now in this. He went through this with me. He has lost this. Thank you. It is disgusting, Donna Snell. But keep going. Keep going. Back at I'm sure you.
They said, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Oh my God.
The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. Your people have...
Okay. He didn't break a deal with Biden or whatever. He can make a deal with me. Especially if there's something going on that we don't know about. Or because you kiss his butt so much. Or let's remember this deal stuff, okay? Let's remember this deal stuff. Because he tried to make a deal. He tried to make a deal. And then now, this, I have empowered you. Bruh. I have empowered you. That's like, this is how strong I am. This is his ego. I have empowered you. What are you talking about? You're the person who doesn't want to give us anything. Look at Zelensky is pained right here. Look at the face on your screen. He is in pain. He's like, oh my God. Not in pain because, well, for many reasons. Because this is embarrassing, because he's like, oh my God, this guy is so ignorant. I don't know. And he's like, what am I going to do? He is trying to, in this moment, I think he's listening, but he's also trying to calculate in his head, well, let's see. Okay, I've got Europe. I've got, Macron. Who else do I have? I'm just going to have to work around this dude. I believe, I'm going to tell you that this relationship is fractured beyond repair. Okay, that's what I believe, but we'll see. But let's see. I have empowered you. That is the biggest sort of mob boss move. Keep going.
Very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Look at
You'll
Zelensky.
fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh?
Here it is.
This is going to be great television, I will say that.
There you go. That's
We'll
it.
see what we can do about putting it together. Thank you.
And there you go. It is a show. I told you at the end he was going to give up the goods. It is a show. And that's it. At the end, he wanted to have the last word. Zelensky is there and he is pained. He's like, you're going to fight it out. You're going to do this. And oh my gosh, it is a show. They knew exactly what they were doing. Now, I want to talk about listen, we have a little bit of a clip. I just want to show you as they're fighting. I think this is the beginning of the Morning Joe clip, just the very beginning. I think will show you what's happening in Ukraine as they are sitting there scolding the Ukrainian president. Here it is.
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't
Look
have
at your
size.
screen.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
You are
Mr.
not
President,
strong.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour.
You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Look
but
at
you'll
Marco
fight
Rubio.
it out. But you don't have the cards.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have
the
size.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
What the actual fuck? Two things. I'm going to get on that suit part. Okay, we're going to get on the suit part. Well, let's go to the suit part since we're here. Let's go to the suit part. Okay, let's go to the suit part. The suit part of when there's an explanation from, what's his name? I forget. Why can't I remember his name? Used to be with MSNBC, on why Zelensky does not wear a suit, because it is out of respect for his people, because it is not about fashion, and other leaders have done the same thing before. Okay, now this is a TikTok. I want you to listen. Watch.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have such. I will wear.
I want, but this one speaks to what we're saying. Let's play the one with Touré.
know you saw that lame-ass white boy ask Zelensky why he wasn't wearing a suit. Do you own a suit is wildly disrespectful. And it's really the height of misplaced arrogance. Zelensky doesn't wear a suit intentionally because his nation is at war. It's meant to be a constant reminder that his people are at war and he's dressing like them. It says he's thinking about the people. It says, I have far more important things to think about than fashion. This is something wartime leaders have done for decades. Winston Churchill visited the White House in an air raid suit during World War II. It symbolizes that his mind is on the people because he's dressing like the people. It's intentional, it's thoughtful, it's traditional, it's powerful, it's respectful. It's actually a very powerful idea. To try to mock a wartime leader over the clothes he's wearing is insane. And I appreciated Zelensky saying, yeah, after the war, I'll wear the costume. Because the suit is a costume of privilege. I know.
They are so dumb that they don't know. Who was that? Is that the reporter who is supposedly Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend and who works for the far right? Who is it, guy? Who does he work for again? Is it something Nation? Are you guys there? Bueller, anyone? You're muted. Anyways, supposedly the guy
Brian Glenn. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, Brian Glenn, and he works for like America
Brian
One.
Brian
Glenn for America One or something like that. The conspiracy theorists are running the government, so to speak, and in the media. Now, I want you to continue to listen again. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, okay? I want you to continue to watch this because let's talk about what he talked about, the hypocrisy of it all. The hypocrisy of it all. First of all, I want to play to you, when I talk to you, how people speaking out of both sides of their mouths, everyone is transactional. If it is politically expedient to me, I'm going to be on the MAGA side. I will say anything to be in power. Okay? This is JD Vance. So I just want you guys to know who you're listening to and who is in that Oval Office starting fights. The kind of person, a personality, and the kind of backbone that these folks have. This is who's attacking Zelensky about his attitude towards certain things and about his principles. This is the person. Okay, here it is.
Vice president who never forgets where he came from.
Back up to the beginning. I want you to see the beginning. Back it up. I want to make sure. Here we go.
Vice president who never forgets where he came from.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump. My current plan is to vote either third party or, as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog. What Trump is just another opioid. I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. And I agree with you on Trump. I don't think he actually cares about folks. I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most about Trump. Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person. I officially accept your nomination to be Vice President of the United States of America. Will be a vice president who never forgets where he came from.
I'm just saying. He has nerve to question the motivations and integrity of Volodymyr Zelensky. Here's someone else who is a United States senator saying, this is an example of the kinds of folks. Remember, Marco Rubio is there as well. Here's Lindsey Graham.
I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally. What I think? Complete, utter disaster. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. He either needs to resign and send somebody over that we can do business with, or he needs to change.
Miss Lindsay. Come on, y'all. For real? Really? Really? What was the name of the movie? The Two Faces of Eve or something? Was it Three Faces? I don't know. But again, the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of it all. What happened in the Oval Office? Okay, so what happened in the Oval Office? Zelensky, let's say, didn't wear a suit. Now let's put it. We have put together some things. Let me just show you guys some things about suit wearing in the Oval Office. Here's some photographs that we put together. Nice suit. What else do we have? Oh my gosh, Ronald Reagan. Wait a minute. Ronald Reagan is supposedly the beacon of the Republican Party. He is the gold standard, the platinum. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. And who behind him? Where are the suits? Selective outrage. If you are listening and not watching, we showed Elon Musk in the Oval Office, no suit. We're showing Ronald Reagan in the Oval Office, no suit. Several occasions, no suit. Anything else? We got any other pictures? Is that it? This is an example. Just an example of selective outrage. Now, Marco Rubio was sitting there. Marco Rubio he looked pained, but then this is what happened to Marco Rubio after that meeting. Someone must have gotten a hold of him. Rubio attacked Zelensky, firmly defending Trump and Vance. Facing a wave of criticism from his former Senate colleagues, Secretary of State Marco Rubio backed the complaints lobbed by President Trump and Vance and Vice President J.D. Vance against Ukraine's leader. So folks saw him and heard him and said, oh my gosh. And he got criticism. And then he's firmly backing them up. Even the Wall Street Journal is now, this is the Rupert Murdoch right-wing Wall Street Journal. This is their editorial page. Putin wins the Trump-Zelensky Oval Office spectacle. And then it goes on to explain why in the Wall Street Journal, I'm not sure how far down we can go with this, about why this is so embarrassing from the Wall Street Journal. When you've lost the Wall Street Journal's editorial page and you are the Republican president of the United States, that's saying something. That's problematic. That's problematic. Thomas Friedman also writing in the New York Times about what happened at the Oval Office. This never happened with an American president before. This is where we are. This is where we are. And I want you to listen to something. Think about it. Okay. Ian Bremmer explaining to everyone what this is. Again, I want you to listen. It's not sexy, but it's very informative. This is Ian Bremmer, who is a brilliant mind of our time, explaining what is happening and what this means and why we're betraying a certain ally for what. Here he is.
Of course, what Trump wants to do is end the war. And he now has been given a bigger opportunity to end the war by being able to throw Zelensky under the bus. And that's what Vance is doing. That's what Elon is doing. That's what all of Trump's supporters on social media are doing. They're saying this guy he's corrupt, he's a dictator, he's a bad guy, he shows no respect to the American president, and why should we support him? Well, the reason you should support him is because he's not a bad guy. It's because he was democratically elected. And for 3 years, he has courageously led his people to defend their country. That's all, to defend their country against an invading force. When the Iraqis invaded Kuwait illegally, the Americans stood up, slapped down Saddam Hussein directly. Not indirectly, directly involved in that fighting to stand for the principle of territorial integrity. And that wasn't even a democracy, right? That was just a country that, had some oil, but that the United States did not want the rest of the world to think that it would just stand back and stand by while their own country was eaten to shreds by a neighboring, more powerful country. That is not where the Americans are today.
That's not where we are today. It is true. That is not where we are today. I'm going to get to what the motivation behind all of this is. But let me just show you something. Because there's been so much talk about that one question that J.D. Vance asked. And the reason I know, and the reason it's so important what Zelensky said at that meeting was, have you been there? You should go talk to the Ukrainian people. I'm not just talking out of the side of my neck. Let me explain to you how I know what I know. I just want to show you. This is me in Ukraine.
Just trying to get some information here as to what we're seeing, John. And at first, according to the mayor and the military minister here, they said it was 3 strikes. We're being told now at least 2 missiles struck Lviv on Saturday. Reports of at least 5 people injured. That is according to the governor. The governor added there's still threats of more missile strikes and said that he's posting information on social media to make sure, information about what was involved in a residential building or other infrastructure objects. That was not confirmed. But again, the flames are pouring out of this building. There are more people showing up, more emergency workers and media.
I'm just saying, that is little old me. Maybe I should have been sitting there. Because I also, in this next one, I just want to show you, had a chance to speak to a lot of Ukrainian people, and perhaps J.D. Vance needs to take a tour and go speak to them like this.
It was difficult to leave your mother?
Я ответил то, что все будет хорошо, и я в этом уверен.
Just pause real quickly. This kid traveled 620 miles alone, 11-year-old boy, to flee Ukraine for Slovakia, all alone, to meet his mom. But keep going. He should talk to these folks. Keep going.
11-year-old Hassan Al-Khalaf fled the destruction all alone and traveling more than 600 miles with only a bag, his passport, and a telephone number written on his hand. A harrowing story of survival amid Putin's war in Ukraine.
Все люди нервничали, потому что война, и очень было тяжело передвигаться, передвигаться по Украине.
It's one story of many in this devastating conflict that the United Nations says has caused more than 3 million Ukrainians to flee their country. The invasion creating a Ukrainian child refugee almost every single second, resulting in heartbreaking scenes like this. A young boy crosses the border in Poland, crying as he walks ahead of a group of adults. Hassan's journey to safety in Slovakia began more than 2 weeks ago, and 600.
and that makes me want to cry. To think that the people who are leading our government, who are sitting there in the Oval Office, could be such ignoramus buffoons. When Zelensky said, "Have you been there?" that was brilliant. J.D. Vance had no answer because he had not been there. Perhaps if he had been there watching the strikes, witnessing, hello, right here, yours truly, and speaking to the people who were devastated, yours truly, perhaps he would have more of a handle on what's going on, a better perspective about what's going on. Instead of talking out the side of his neck. Now, let me explain to you. If you have, this is a soundbite. Don't we have something on? This is okay. This is kind of my payoff about why this is happening and why Donald Trump has such ire for Volodymyr Zelensky. It is because of this. Remember, Donald Trump was impeached because of Ukraine and Volodymyr Zelensky, because Volodymyr Zelensky was what? The person who was before we even got to Georgia, right? Meaning, I need your votes, and when he tried to overturn an election, there was this, and I think Donald Trump has never gotten over it. And watch, here it is.
Up to Ukrainians.
Ukrainian authorities.
Ukraine.
Donald Trump is being impeached, and for some reason, it's all about this place, Ukraine. But how come? We're more than 5,000 miles from Washington. It's a complicated story about corruption, conspiracy theories, and Russia. And it all begins with a phone call. On July the 25th last year, Ukraine's new president, Volodymyr Zelensky, spoke to Donald Trump. Mr. Zelensky wanted to discuss American military assistance, but Mr. Trump said he wanted a favor. President Trump was withholding hundreds of millions of dollars of military aid. His opponents smelled a rat. They said the president was abusing his power, using his office for personal political gain.
I solemnly and sadly open the debate on the impeachment of the President of the United States.
So what about that aid that Mr. Trump was withholding? Why is it so important for Ukraine? To figure out how we got here, you've got to go back a bit. Ukraine used to be part of the old Soviet Union. After gaining its independence in 1991, it found itself stuck between Russia and the West. Russia.
So you guys get the point.
The West in the shape of.
So you remember? I don't know if we can fast forward. If you guys can find out when as it relates. I'm sure in this documentary or this explainer, they get to why this is important, because he wants something on Joe Biden. Remember? He won. Oh, back up. I think I saw it. There we go. Let's play. Let's see what we hear. Go.
This year's election, Joe Biden had abused his own political influence.
Back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. I want the viewer to hear it. Let's go back. There we go.
Asked Zelensky to investigate both.
There we go. Keep going back. Keep backing up a little bit. Okay, good. Go.
Aid, Ukraine would struggle to defend itself. But what about the favor? What was President Trump asking for in that phone call last July? Well, he referred to two allegations and asked Zelensky to investigate both. One, that Ukraine had somehow meddled in America's 2016 presidential election, and two, that one of Mr. Trump's main rivals in this year's election, Joe Biden, had abused his own political influence to prevent an investigation into his son's business interests in Ukraine.
They're not based on real facts. They're based on fake news, on this cocktail of fake news, misinformation. Russia was the country interfered in American elections 2016.
It's true, both theories have been debunked. Ukraine did have concerns about candidate Trump. He seemed rather keen on Russia.
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually did get along with Russia?
But there was no concerted effort to stop him being elected. And there's no evidence that Joe Biden used his influence to protect his son, or even that his son did anything wrong. But if they're not true, where do these theories actually come from? You can see why Donald Trump would want to believe them. He's never liked the idea that Russia interfered in the election that he won in 2016. And dirt on a political rival? Well, surely everyone wants that. But these theories aren't just peddled in the US.
Слава богу, нас теперь уже никто не обвиняет, что мы вмешиваемся в выборы в Соединенных Штатах. Теперь Украину обвиняют.
Mr. Putin is, I think, main beneficiary from this situation because it makes Ukraine weaker, it makes American institutions weaker, it makes White House weaker.
We have some TV channels controlled by Viktor Medvedchuk, who is a friend of Putin.
Okay, pause. So he's talking about state media, state-run media, which is, I think, what the Trump folks want. They would like nothing more than that. That is you guys think that it's like, oh, well, I'm looking out for you. That is, in my opinion, and with some facts there, the main motivation behind this awful treatment and his attitude towards Vladimir Zelensky. Now we're getting to the root, says Aris. Do you understand? Remember Burisma that was debunked? Y'all don't hear, y'all, I mean, come on, guys. Are you hello? You guys, are you listening to me? That I just showed you is why he does not like Vladimir Zelensky. I needed a favor from you. I needed something on Joe Biden. You wouldn't do it. Just like the state of Georgia in the United States would not give him the votes that he thought that he deserved. He did not get, come on, Don. Yes, Tori. Hello. He did not get what? He didn't get the dirt that he wanted. Volodymyr Zelensky would not bow down to him and would not kiss his ass. And he has never forgotten it. And he is pissed, and he's going to get back at him. He's going to shift the narrative to make it something else. And he's going to make the American people think that he's doing it for them. And his little lackey is going to back it up. You should be more respectful. You should be thanking the president. Do you guys see? Do you guys see what's going on here? Does anybody see what is going on here? That is the reason that he hates Vladimir Zelensky. Raj, I'm trying to break it down as you were saying in the chat. That is it. I haven't heard anybody talk about that. Zelensky is not willing to kiss Trump's ass, Karen White. That is what this is about. I don't know. Is my work here done? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. I mean, had you guys thought about that? Do you think, good morning? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Have you had your coffee yet or your tea? He always tells on himself, lovely lady. I'm just trying to explain. People think I'm crazy, right? I'm not crazy. I see what's going on here. But not everybody will tell you what's going on here because, you know, maybe they just don't want that. I don't know. They're afraid to tell Donald Trump the truth. Maybe they're afraid. Maybe corporate media doesn't want to show Donald Trump who he is or the American people. Maybe they just don't want to tell you that because they're trying to normalize this bullshit. They're trying to treat it as if it's normal. And it's not. There's nothing normal about this. We know they forget because Donald Trump told you the whole thing as he was sitting there when he said it was Joe Biden, it was Barack Obama, it was Hillary Clinton, it was all these things. It was the Russia. He told you right there what it was about. He even mentioned, remember the laptop in that meeting. He told you. He told you what it was about. Were you listening? Maybe the media folks are not listening, but he told you what it was about. Here's the Guardian reporting. This is what the Guardian reported back in the day about, I mean, come on. This is about Zelensky and impeachment. Trump tried to extort Zelensky and was impeached. Now he may succeed. This is what it was about. Where we are. And I think that this is, look, you may think it's a little bit off, but these are the kinds of people and our attitude towards our allies, or people who should be our allies, and the people that they, I'll explain. This is Bill Burr, the comedian, who has just been on it right now. This is a very harsh comparison, but I'm not doing it. It's not a direct comparison. It is to give you a sense of history and knowledge, because we love the highly educated here and we love the poorly educated, and we try to inform or educate the poorly educated. And I just want you to listen to this, and then we're going to give it nuance. Okay. This is Bill Burr, the comedian, speaking on things that are maybe a bit surprising to you, but he's out there and he's talking his shit and people are listening. Here it is.
It's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for whatever. What a fucking baby. Just like Hitler. A fucking baby. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused, and the war crimes the Allies had to commit, firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people, did he face the music? Nope. He gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death. That's your fucking hero? Fucking coward is what he was.
Okay. So now we have someone who is, now we have a situation where America is now siding with a Russian dictator. Is this the road that America wants to go down? Is this the road America wants to go down? So look, I'm here to tell you, though, that for those of you, all is not lost. Not yet. All is not lost. Not yet. Because we went to church, right? There was churches. And I just want to tell you that you don't have to get involved or bogged down and be sad or whatever. You don't have to fight with everybody. You don't have to try to tell them how dumb or how stupid they are, what they don't know. I want you to listen to Reverend Blake. Here it is.
A pastor sent me a message on social media this week inviting me to debate the biblical merits of Donald Trump. I had to tell him, in the words of John Henry Clark, I only debate my equals. All others I teach. Y'all ain't saying nothing. At this season of your life, you don't need to argue with folk. You ain't got to fight with folk who ain't got nothing to offer. You can't take constructive criticism from people that ain't built nothing.
I just wanted to say that because, we went to church this weekend. That's Reverend Jamal Bryant. Sorry, I said Blake. Reverend Jamal Bryant. You ain't got to argue with. Remember, keep your sanity. Come on, Pastor Jamal Bryant. You don't have to, you don't have to get involved in all of that. Know your worth. Don't cast your pearl before swine. But remember, there is a resistance and people are fighting back. And some of them are Republicans. Many of them are Republicans fighting back against their own people, against their own lawmakers. This does not bode well for Donald Trump. Now, as I always say, you can do what you can do in your own community. You have to be willing to sacrifice something. So there are people who are around the country who are putting communities together to discuss what to do, what can be done, and to fight back against this tyranny. To fight back against and to try to reclaim a democracy. Now, this is one lady doing something by herself. They got together. There was an email, and they got this group together. And I just want you to listen. She's quietly spoken about, but just here, you do have power. You can do this in your own community. Here we go.
Earlier this week, I saw a post on Threads about someone who was wanting to meet up with fellow blue women here in Detroit. And I thought, well, that's me. I'm all those things. So, all right. So I reached out to that person and said, hey, I'm coming. Are you okay if I repost this on Instagram? And she said, yeah, girl, that's fine. So I did. And I had no idea what kind of reaction or response we would get. I just wanted to be around more people who felt like that we all deserve equal rights and protections of the law and thinks that Trump is a piece of shit. So I showed up today. And the lady had said, hey, I'm going to be on the second floor and I'll have a blue balloon, because we didn't know each other, you know. So I found the person with the blue balloon. I got there and I already saw that one of my dear friends was there. So that was really lovely. And so I got to meet the lady who started this. And there was 4 of us, and then there was 6, and then there was 10, and then there was 20, and then there was 30, and then there was 40. And there were so many of us in this area, we couldn't even hear each other speak. And so she went and found a bigger area, and it was a ginormous tent. And then we were 100 or more, and we were spilling out of that tent. It was so many amazing, badass women and 2 dudes. Plus Dave, so that's 3 dudes. He showed up later. And it was amazing. And that warfare that Trump and his ilk have been waging to instill in us that psychological despair melted away like ice in the fucking sun. And it felt magnificent. And I came home exhausted and energized. And the next time I hear about one of these meetups, I'm going to let you guys know.
You can be doing that. Your voice is important. The power is with you. You don't. I'm interested. I want to see what the stats are, the information on the economic blackout from Friday. Let's see what it is. But you have the power. You have the power of your dollar. You have the power of your voice. You have the power. You can. You have civil disobedience or protest, First Amendment. You have that power. And I always say, don't shop where you're not wanted, right? That's what folks said. If you don't like what's happening, especially in the mainstream or corporate media, then you can turn it off. And then maybe they won't realize, like, oh shit, we should stop putting our hand on the scale or trying to normalize stuff. You don't have to shop or buy at places that were maybe donated to certain people or who are supportive of certain candidates. You don't have to do that. You have the power. Okay? You have the power. Let me just show you. And here's what, when you say the resistance, let me show you have the power. Make sure. And I don't think we want the music. Well, I don't know, but we need to hear the protesting. JD Vance took a little vacation, a little ski weekend in Vermont, and this is how he was greeted.
Vice President J.D. Vance and his family following yesterday's fiasco there in the Oval Office with Ukrainian President Zelensky. There's some new video now we have showing the vice president being greeted by protesters holding anti-Vance, pro-Ukraine signs as he makes his way there to Vermont for a ski resort vacation. More protesters met the Vance family outside of the resort, and the family ultimately had to move to an undisclosed location.
So there you go. That's how he was greeted. Now, I'm not saying violence. There was no violence there. So you have the right. Those folks have the right to do that. Okay? They have the right to do that. Also, this is what so we have to talk about that. I want to talk about this before I get out of here. Let's talk about what happened at the Oscars. And I think the perfect person, instead of me trying to explain to you what happened, I think that this person is perfect. I would love to hire them as a commentator because it's fun, it's light, and they got right to the point. And I think they were channeling all of us. This is a recap of the Oscars this weekend. Watch.
That's the most expensive loaf I've ever seen, but who cares? She got an Oscar. Inside Out Oreo, a shredded shower curtain. Better go, Catwoman. Who in the Lex Luthor is that? Why does she look like she just killed her husband and is celebrating? Oh, she's like, I put on all that makeup. That should be mine. All these beautiful white people. Andy Bernard won. Okay, this is the show. I don't care who wins now. They win. She's all of us. Make the gays happy. So I don't know what's happening with this show. I think we're good for the night, yes? Come on, Sandy from Pebble Beach. Who? Wow. Oh, Mamma Mia. Expensive. Bazungas. What the hell? What a beautiful species of person. Rich. Very rich. This is us. I don't know her. The show's so long, my TV turned itself off because it was bored. Look at this. Thank you. Your live event has ended. We still have 3 awards to go. Let's fight for what's right. Let's fight for a shorter run time. Oh, no. No, you're not Cynthia. Stop. Oh, she's still got you. Play the music off. Play her off. Oh, Lord. What is going on?
From penis to vagina.
Tell me that wasn't a great breakdown. That was a fantastic breakdown right there. So look, and one more little palate cleanser here to get you out of here. We have to remember that there are still good people out there who are doing great jobs, who are trying to teach our kids, and that there are good kids and good teachers and people who actually teach the real history of this country, people who are not afraid of members of the LGBTQ community or people who are not like them. They're not trying to demonize people. There's some good in the world that I want to point out. Kids are innocent and they're amazing if you don't try to influence them with things that are horrible or just at all, and let them make up their minds about who they like, what they like. This is something that I saw on the internet about this man who went to a career day. I think he's a chef or something, but I'm not exactly sure of his profession. But he went to a career day, and these like little kids, I mean, I think they speak for all of us. I just want you to know that there's good in the world, and you should not be all sad about what's happening, right? You have to motivate. You got to do something. But just remember, like, let the kids be kids. Let them grow up. Don't try to influence them. Look at how they react when you just let them do their thing, interact with their friends, and go to career days and just be exposed to all kinds of people. Okay? This is all, just watch.
Anybody else have a question?
Do you have kids?
I do not have kids.
Do
Nope.
you have a girlfriend or a wife?
Oh, I have a husband.
We're so positive over here. Exactly.
I see that. Y'all are awesome.
Has 2 moms. One of my friends has 2 moms. One of my friends has 2 dads. They're not afraid to express that, and I like that.
It's so positive that we can live in a world that everybody can support each other, but unfortunately, some people like to ruin it.
But we just don't let them.
Since you have a cookbook, are you a big back?
I'm very much a big back, yes.
Welcome to the big back community.
I saw you eating them cookies.
What's your name on TikTok?
Your barefoot neighbor.
Will we be dancing at all in the center?
No, I cannot dance. Do I have to do my knees too?
Like, well, you can if you want
Okay.
to, but it's up and then no.
I'm too far behind.
Not being rude in that type of way. How old are you?
I'm 42. I'll be 43 this year.
You look like you're 26.
I say that in the microphone.
You look like you're 26.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you.
No, you look at least like you're in your mid-30s.
Okay, thank you for that too.
I'm just saying, the kids, let the kids be the kids. They are quite amazing. Let the kids be the kids, okay? So I want to make you smile. I want to inform you and I want to make you smile. And I just want to thank you again for helping to build this community. Thank you for all of the support that you've given us. Thank you for putting up with me this weekend with my crazy, fun, impromptu birthday celebrations. I did in case you missed it, I did my favorite things this weekend. I love diners. I went to a diner breakfast with my husband, and then I went to a lunch with my dear friend, Tracy Jacobs. We were very fancy. We went to, she took me to lunch at the Carlisle Hotel, and then I walked her to Bergdorf's. I can't afford Bergdorf's. She can. And then I had a very New York kind of weekend. And then I went out to dinner. And then the next day I had a birthday party and all kinds of things. So thank you for putting up with that. And by the way, don't believe what you read on the internet about, oh my God, Don's losing it. He's chasing trains around and whatever. It's just little fun things. Like, you guys understand that social media trends and all that old folks don't get, which they should, because the young people will lead us. And I try to keep myself young by being around my young social media team and young folks, okay? And so don't believe the stuff like I've lost it or I'm not. And you'll be the first to know, because I will tell you. You guys know how transparent and how candid I am about those things. So thank you. Make sure you subscribe to our stuff. We are close to 600K, so make sure that we can get that pretty darn soon. I think we're about 6,000 off. So tell your friends and your neighbors, send the link to our show. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up on the way out. Follow us on all of our social media channels. We're live now on YouTube, of course, our main channel. So if you're on TikTok, if you're watching us on TikTok or not YouTube, TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, come over to the YouTube for that's our full frontal channel where we get to see all of the comments. You get to see all of the sound bites and hear them as well, and see me in my living room, or excuse me, in my home studio, which is not my living room. In my home studio here, and come and have fun with us. Come and learn with us. Come and be part of a community that is open-minded, a community that it doesn't mind leaning into things, a community that doesn't mind being real, that's not putting on airs, that's not insulting you, that doesn't give you false equivalency, that does not try to normalize things for you, that treats you as an adult, doesn't insult your intelligence, that can be fun and goofy and a multi-dimensional. You understand what I'm saying? So it's important for you to support independent media. I appreciate that. Again, like, subscribe, and become a member. Our memberships are very reasonable. That's how we stay streaming. I'm not ashamed to say that. That's how we keep the lights on, by your generous support. And I appreciate you helping me to build this community so quickly, and that you are such loyal viewers and loyal supporters. So thank you all so much. I'm going to see you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern for Lemon Live at 5. Also, we're going to drop a couple things during the day. I think at 2 o'clock we have something, and then maybe a little bit later. But we're also live. So make sure you join us for that, okay? So, as I have been saying always, no shade. When I end this program every day, I'm channeling Kendrick Lamar. Turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate